Hello. All right. Good day. My name is Assistant Professor Bernhard Schmitt. I am a professor for animation at the School of Art, Design, and Media at NTU in Singapore. And yeah, I'm happy that you have joined me here in this little session. Why am I here? I'm the outreach coordinator, and I'm just going to give you a short overview about what ADM has to offer, and also how your pathway, how your way through ADM will look like if you choose to study here. Let's start with what is ADM, which is the short form for School of Art, Design and Media, and why should you study here or there. Most of you, maybe some of you already are preparing their portfolio, might have even shown it already. Some of you are still wondering, should I study? Would ADM be the right place for us? So let's have a look. We were established in 2005, which is almost 20 years by now. And we were like the first professional art and design media school in Singapore. What makes us exceptional, not just in Singapore, but even in international context, is that we are embedded at a world-renowned research university. Often other art schools are by itself. We actually are part of a bigger institution. We are among the top 50 art and design schools in the world. There are thousands, so we're pretty much on top. This is a reputation we worked on in less than 20 years, which is quite unusual, I would say. What we are famous for is definitely our interdisciplinary education. And of course, if you just type in NTU, chances are high that you actually see ADM. It's a very famous building. You see it here on the slide. And yeah, that's where ADM is of all schools. We take in 120 students per year for a 4-year program. Every student comes here, goes for 4 years. And you can tell 120, that is quite competitive to get in. What do we offer? Of course, it's the bachelor program, but also we have a very well established master and PhD research programs. And the most important thing, of course, at the beginning of your career is ADM really offers you a guideline to become a professional for the industry that then can actually work in Singapore, or if you choose to, even outside of Singapore. So who teaches ADM? This is just a short, small selection of faculty. As you can tell, here you can probably hear I'm German. I'm not the only one, but there are a few Europeans here. There are Australians here. We have Korean faculty, of course, Singaporean as well. So the faculty really is very international, which is great because it also will give you an international outlook, which in today's world is very important. We have great artists, award-winning artists and creatives, and really it's a quite esteemed faculty from the different areas. So let's shortly go into the structure of our program. ADM offers a Bachelor in Fine Arts, in Design Art, and in Media Art. So these are basically two different pathways. Design Art is visual communication, product design, and interaction design. And Media Art is animation, game, filmmaking, and photography. Of course, there's a big intersection between all these disciplines, and I'm coming to that later. So let's just shortly go into the structure. When you arrive at year one, the first thing that we're going to put you through, especially in the very first semester, is Common Foundation. Common Foundation is quite important, and as the name says, foundation. We will basically make you think about design processes. We have the section of 2D, 3D, and 4D. 2D is, of course, drawing, 3D is more sculpting, and 4D then goes into fourth dimension, time. It really thinks about storytelling and time-based media, basically. The foundation is quite important, and every student, regardless of your of the path you want to choose later on for university or for your career, has to go through that. It is very important to draw in there. Now, I'm fully aware that not everybody is a big drawer, and you should not be scared of that. Drawing has not to be an art by itself. Sometimes it's just used as a tool. Me, for example, I'm in stop motion, animation, experimental animation. I don't draw that much, but I use it as a tool, and therefore it's quite important. And I know a lot of students don't like drawing. If you're done with that in the beginning, you don't necessarily have to continue doing it. And it's nothing to be afraid of. And I met students who actually fell in love with drawing in foundation, despite their reservations towards drawing in the beginning. Semester 2 is very centered on theory. This, of course, is being a proper university. We have to do some theory as well, especially here, art history. Why? We do not educate artists here for art's sake. We want artists to become embedded in society. We don't want you to do art just because you want to do art. We want you to contribute to society through art. And for that, you need a context of the art that you're doing. And design and media and art history will give you that context. So it is quite important to reflect on your role as an artist or as a designer. After you're done with year one, comes year 2. And year 2 is a bit more specialized already. Here we have the interdisciplinary core classes for design, media, and art history. I mentioned it before, the subject interdisciplinarity, which is very important at ADM. If you remember, we have the visual communication pathway and the design and the media pathway. Now, especially in the arts, often these things are interwoven. You can't really distinguish. Is it animation? Is it graphic design? Nowadays, they're both. Often illustrations start to move. We have interaction in product design. There's moving things in user experience. So often it doesn't really make sense to kind of like strictly separate students from each other in different disciplines. But therefore, we put a lot of disciplinarity so you can visit classes from other pathways and according to your interest. Year 3, you should start to specialize for your electives in design and media. Many of you already know what they want to do later on in life. Some of you might not. But in the foundation, some of you might start think about that maybe the thing that you desperately want to do is actually not the right thing for you. And therefore we have year 2 to kind of like find orientation, and in year 3 then you can specialize in the electives. Also at the end of year 3 we have the internship, which is very important. We're coming later to that, the internship, because ADM has a very close relationship with the industry in different fields. You also can do overseas study. I'm going to come back to that, to the universities that we have in our portfolio, you could say, that we have exchange programs with. After you're done with year 3, you're going to do your year 4, which really, I like to tell my students, is the beginning of your career. First, you do the industry seminar, where again, we try to establish closer ties to the industry. We try to prepare you for the industry, because we don't want you basically just kick you out with a degree and then anyhow, what's happening? We want to prepare you properly. The final year project, that's what I'm coming to, the beginning of your career. You have an entire year time to work on one big project of your chosen specialization. For example, you can do a specific product design, you can draw a comic, you can do an animation movie, you can do a movie, again, depending on what you choose as your project. This you can do by yourself, or you also can do it in a team. And it's quite remarkable that we give you 1 year time to do that. It's important, it will be your major piece, and it also will be a big exhibition after you graduated. I'm coming to that again later. So what can you study at ADM, and what are the potential careers? In the area of design art, the pathway design art, we have visual communication. Visual communication is a very generic term. Basically, most of the things that you see wherever you go, they are designed. That is visual communication. So that is things like graphic design, it's corporate branding, it's information design, it's user experience. It's a big term, but as you will learn in foundation, actually a lot of these design components are kind of the same. And therefore you can specialize in these areas if you choose visual communication. And the second one is product design. Product design is not just as the name indicates, the design of products like the phone or the computer you're just looking at, but it also can be things like interactive installations. It can be experience design. It can be conceptual design. Not everything that you do here needs a commercial application. It can be very applied things like the furniture that you're just sitting on. But also user experience, user interaction is also a big part of it. The third one is interaction design. Interaction design, of course, is becoming one of the big design applications. It is really not just you consuming things, but the thing basically, you could say that talking back to you, interacting with you. So this is really about interactive objects, about programs, and you can see like the user experience pops up in all of these three. It's a big part. Of course, also computer-aided design. So interaction design is part of everything, but also you can specify your studies at ADM for that. So this is the design art pathway. The other is media art. Media art, you have here at ADM, very big, of course, animation. Animation sounds like a rather small area. In matter of fact, it's huge. You have character animation. This is basically the actor in a movie. You literally animating a character. You have things like technical direction, some more technology, like things like rigging. But also you have like the conceptual part of it. A movie does not it's not created in a vacuum. A movie takes a lot of like pre-production. So you're going to learn like, how do I design characters? How do I compose a story? And then, of course, all the technical aspects of movie making come on top. Industry application here, of course, yeah, well, you're going to work in the animation industry, which is huge. Second one is game. Most of you are, I'm not sure if gamer is the right word, but you play computer games. Myself, I do it as well. So you can become a game artist. Game artist, of course, means you are going to create concepts for computer games. How do they work? You can become a character artist, meaning you design the character that the game rotates around, but also things like environment designer. You can become a creative director. We train you for leadership roles here. Well, basically a creative director kind of like coordinates all the other jobs during a game production. The third one is photography. We have a very esteemed photography course here that is, of course, fine arts photography, but also commercial photography for things like advertisement. But of course, on top, things like photojournalism and photo editing. Last, but of course not least, we have a big filmmaking program at school. And as you know, filmmaking involves a lot of things. We do not teach acting here. We teach how to make a film. So it's about film production. Film production is actually not necessarily an artistic thing. There are parts of it as well, but it's also about like organizing things. We teach you all the different steps that are involved in filmmaking, be it editing, be it like visual effects, compositing, screenwriting, and of course, filmmaking involves also new media storytelling. It's not just the big silver screen anymore. Media is consumed over very different media. So this is a short idea of what we offer here. So what else can you do at ADM? Now, I mentioned it before, at the end of year three, we have an internship program. This is very important for us because we want you, as I mentioned before, not just studying here and then like graduate you and release you in the wild, if I may say, without preparing you properly. Therefore, there's a internship program where you really basically can look in the industry. We have for that a variety of partners from the industry in Singapore. You see a little list here. These are very big names. And you have to do it. I think it's very important that you have to work either with one of the industry partners that we are offering you, or you also can choose your own one if you're able to do that. This industry internship is closely, I wouldn't say monitored, but we are always in exchange with employers. So you will be looked after. On top of that, we have the student exchange program. During year three, you don't have to, but you can do a semester abroad, which I believe is very useful just to give you an international outlook. Things are, and I can tell that as somebody who's not from Singapore, things are done differently in other parts of the world, and really ADM wants to educate you with an international outlook. So it's very important that you can see how things are done somewhere else. And as you can see, we have quite a lot of universities These are in Europe, Asia, America, but also there's the University of Newcastle in Australia, there's New Zealand. So it's really literally all over the globe. Yeah, so coming back to the companies that you can do your internship with, another big part of the internship is not just you seeing how things are done in the real world, it's also about, you know, starting to build a network to a certain degree, which apart from the artistic education we are giving you here is also very important. You can see these are quite a variety of companies. They're like huge international companies. For example, BBDO is like one of the biggest, if not the biggest, advertisement conglomerate in the world. They are big in Singapore, but there are also companies like Ubisoft. I'm sure if you're a gamer, you know Ubisoft, you have to. Most of you know like Assassin's Creed, things like that. But there are also rather local companies, for example, Grab. Why would I work at Grab? What does have Grab to do with an internship? Now, Grab has its own app. Most of you will know the app of Grab. This Grab app needs design, right? These are huge parts of the user experience. Remember when I showed you the different from design art, the application, the user experience, that is super important for Grab. Same goes for Redmart. Yeah. So after I told you know what you can do at ADM, so what else do you know about ADM? Now, ADM has a very vibrant social community, and we have a big student club, and there are quite a lot of activities. There's a band, there's sports associations all over NTU. That's again another important thing that makes ADM so exceptional when it comes down to art school, is that we are really, I mentioned before, embedded in a big research university. So the ADM community is very strong. Our students identify very strongly with the school, and there's a reason for that. So yeah, it's fun. When I work a bit late and I walk home, there rather later in the evening, there are always activities happening around here. Equipment and resources. We have absolutely exceptional equipment and resources at ADM that really are second to none. We have an amazing filmmaking sound stage. We have a motion capture studio. We have like a big dark room for photography. As somebody who's in, personally, my area is stop motion and experimental animation. I don't know any other internationally school that has a place, for example, for stop motion animation like ADM has. That is remarkable. But it's not just that. We have for product design, we have huge 3D printing workshops. We have an entire woodworking studio. We have a multimedia library. We have drawing studios. We have great light for drawing. It's remarkable and quite exceptional. Also, the equipment that we're using is very up to date, which is also very important because, again, when you're going to work for the industry, we want you to be familiar with technology that is actually currently used in the industry and not the one that has been used like 15 years ago. Okay, so let's shortly talk about NTU. I'm not sure I have to tell you a lot about NTU because you all know NTU, and there's a reason why you all NTU. It's because NTU is ranked among the highest, it's ranked highest among the top universities in the world. And ADM is really profiteering from that. I mentioned interdisciplinarity before, and I mentioned interdisciplinarity between design art and media art. That is not all. When you are at ADM, you have access to a lot of courses at NTU. So you can actually take courses, for example, at the School of Communications. You can take courses at the College of Social Science. You even can take courses in the more technical areas, where you're now thinking, why would I do that? Why would I just go visit courses in computer science? Art can't, especially nowadays, art can't exist without technology. And NTU really offers you that access to learning about technology, also to learning about social science, in a way that no other art school, or rarely any art school, can. And of course, in all these other areas, you have like world-class faculty as well. Of course, you can sign up here for minors and second majors if you feel up to it. A second major is quite some work, but these second majors you can do in communications, as I said, this good communication, but also entrepreneurship. Like alumni of us are actually very big entrepreneurs, and also things like creative writing. We have a huge language center. Lots of my students desire to learn Japanese or Korean. But that's not the only one. If you feel like it, I think there's almost non-language that you cannot learn at NTU, again, which will broaden your international outlook. And yeah, I mentioned it before, the student life. The facilities here are remarkable in terms of like sport clubs. We have hall activities, and we have special interests clubs, we have social activities. Also students looking after each other. It's remarkable like how alive the university is. University is open. I only invite you to have a look, just visit us. It's not that far away. And so student life is quite a big thing at NTU. What's happening at the end? We have not reached the end of our presentation yet. But as I mentioned before, at the very end, you have a year time to do your final year project. And that will be presented at the ADM graduate show, where students can showcase their designs, design and media projects. And of course, it's not just for family and friends, it's also a valuable exposure to the industry. It's very well known within the industry in Singapore, even outside Singapore, that this show is always worth a visit. This is the poster, but again, we're coming to like, is it really a poster, the design for last year's show. This year's will be in the same area, and I invite you to visit us there. It is in May, and it's at Emerald Hill. It's quite remarkable, so please visit us, and you can just have a look, like, are you interested? I'm sure you are, but is it interesting for you? And it's just worthwhile looking at it. Here are a few pictures of that said show. So, after the show, what are you going to do afterwards? Of course, the first thing you would think of is join a company, a consultancy, an agency, a production house. Singapore has a huge media and art industry. We are very well renowned among these companies, so they are very happy to hire ADM graduates. ADM is quite a brand mark among a lot of companies there. That is kind of the first way to do that. Of course, second option would be, and a lot of our students do that, they start their own business. They become freelancers, a consultant, or they start even companies. Companies are, I don't even know how many companies were founded over the years by ADM alumni, and they're still present, I shall add, which is also very important, which speaks of the quality. Of course, you also, and again, here comes like the interdisciplinarity of NTU, which is ADM, you can be part of a startup. Often these interactions happen in the before mentioned student clubs, but you know, if you meet somebody there from business school, you might together, literally start a startup if you have a great idea on one of the social activities. Don't underestimate this, and that's why these social activities across schools, across colleges are so extremely important. Of course, and again, here we come back to NTU as such an academic entity, you can pursue like studies further, you can do your master's, you can do your PhD, and you can have a career in academics. This is something also that you don't have to choose right away. For me, example, I worked for years in the industry, and then I returned back to academia. This is always an option that is open here, doing here a master's, doing here a PhD. Also, of course, you can choose to do a master's right after your bachelor. This is an option as well. Here, when you're done with studying, what are your career prospects? You can do, as mentioned before, a lot of students start their own business. You can do a second major in entrepreneurship and a minor in entrepreneurship. NTU has a big business school, so we have a lot of like input from there as well. ADM has an incubation center. It's Garage at ADM, basically where you can develop ideas. And ADM also works closely with NTU Initiative and NTU Technopreneurship Center. This also, again, comes back to what I mentioned before, the close intersection of art and technology. Okay, so how do you apply? I'm just going to leave that slide a bit longer so you can type the links in, but I think the links are underneath as well. The submission requirements. You need to hand in a portfolio of your work that shows your creative potential. I know that can be a bit scary, but don't be too scared. I know myself, I went through the same procedure, not at ADM, but a similar environment. You're always kind of shy, like, oh, is it good enough? How hard is the competition? You'll never know if you don't try. So I strongly encourage you to just go for it. Just show us what you do, and we're going to give you feedback. If you go to our portfolio sessions, what's in this portfolio? In this portfolio, you should demonstrate your skill level in visual arts, storytelling, and communication. Again, that is a bit vaguely phrased maybe, but you just have to show us that you didn't just decide, oh, I want to become an artist. Like, you probably should have thought about this for a bit, and you should have dabbled in it. And again, I think the word dabbling, we don't expect you to bring in a perfect portfolio. Why would we? If you're a good like a great accomplished artist already, there's no need for you to come to this place. This place is to make you one, right? But we want to see that you have at least like thought about these things and you have dabbled a bit in them. So just put it in a nice portfolio. You'll see the requirements on our online portal, and we'll have a look at it. Of course, there's the ADM Open Day 2023. It's on the 4th of March from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And here on the screen, you can find your QR code. You then can get the precise, you can confirm your attendance for the portfolio review. And yeah, again, portfolio review might be a nice idea. Don't be scared. This is not a job interview, the portfolio review. Just faculty from different areas and also in the area that you are interested in are just going to have a look at your portfolio and going to give you some feedback. How to improve it. Maybe sometimes what not to include. That's also because, you know, you have to choose in these portfolios. You can't like throw everything at us. So we help you to choose the right things to include in the portfolio and just giving you a general feedback. And there's usually a few days. Maybe you might want to work a bit on that, this and that. We're going to point out certain things to you that might be improved. So that's very valuable as well, portfolio reviews. Yeah, and this pretty much concludes the presentation. So thank you for your attention. Of course, you can follow us on social media. If any of you is still on Facebook, maybe it becomes 21 day again. It's NTU ADM, but of course, Instagram as well. Also, I should add our student clubs also have Instagram accounts, so please follow them too. I mean, it might be interesting for you to actually see it from a student's point of view because you are being one of them. So it is worth watching and it's quite fun. There they tell you about like how student life is ADM and it's like an unfiltered view look into ADM student life. So I happily invite you to look at that. And of course, you just can go to the website, NTU LUSG ADM. There you find all the details what I just mentioned before, also like structure of the courses and so on. If you have any questions, just email us over admevents@ntu.edu.sg. And that pretty much finishes the presentation, and I really hope for